Welcome to a story that stayed with me. Maybe it will stay with you too.
You didn't get one either, right? Rachel looked up from her laptop. Emily, her roommate, stood in the doorway clutching her phone like it had just burned her. Get what? An invitation. Chloe's wedding. They're all talking about it in the group chat. Everyone got theirs today. You weren't added. Rachel's stomach dropped. No. She hadn't been added. And she definitely hadn't gotten any invitation. She let out a small breath and shrugged. Nope. Probably just a mistake. But deep down, she knew it wasn't. 6 months ago, Chloe had been her closest friend. They'd met in high school, lived together after college, shared breakups and birthday cakes, and pinky promised that nothing would ever change. Chloe once said, "You'll be my maid of honor, obviously. No one else gets me like you." And now? Not even a basic invite. Rachel left the apartment claiming she needed coffee, but really, she just couldn't sit there any longer. Not with Emily's sympathetic eyes and that ache creeping up her throat. She found herself in her favorite local cafe, tucked into the same corner seat she always took when she needed to breathe. The one near the window, where she could people watch and pretend her world wasn't quietly collapsing. 2 oat milk lattes later, her phone buzzed. Zoe, OMG, did you see Chloe's venue pics? Literal dream. Also, LOL, did she actually not invite you? Rachel locked the screen. Her face flushed with heat. This wasn't just a mistake. It was a choice. A loud, public one. She blinked hard and looked out the window, wishing the ache would go away. That's when she noticed him. A man stood just outside, laughing as he tried to shelter a tiny dog from the rain with his suit jacket. The kind of laugh that made people turn around. The kind of man you only saw in ads for luxury watches or private jets. Tall. Late 30s. Sharp but unpretentious. Confident in that effortless way that didn't need attention. He tied his dog to a bike rack and walked in, brushing rain from his sleeves. "You look like someone who just realized the villain in her story used to be her best friend," he said, glancing in her direction. Rachel blinked. "Excuse me?" "Sorry. Just a hunch. I'm usually wrong." "Actually," she half laughed, "you're disturbingly accurate." He ordered his drink and turned back toward her. "Want to talk about it? Or are you more of the sulk silently and hate everyone for 3 days type?" Rachel raised a brow. "Do you talk to all strangers like this?" "Only the ones who look like they're about to rewrite their entire life in one bold move." His name was Elliot. Elliot Hart. They talked for nearly half an hour. She told him about the wedding, in pieces, through dry laughs and quiet sighs. He listened, without interrupting, without pity. "Let me guess," he said. "You were too real. Too loyal." And that scared her. "Or maybe I was just too easy to cut out," Rachel replied, trying to sound nonchalant. She didn't quite pull it off. Elliot leaned forward. "What if I told you I have a tux, a quiet weekend, and a reputation for walking into parties I wasn't invited to?" "I'd say, weird flex. I'd also say I have a +1. And a taste for poetic justice." Rachel laughed. "You're serious?" "Dead serious. Let's make some jaws drop." She didn't answer right away. But as she walked home that evening, the storm clouds in her mind had shifted. The next morning, her inbox chimed. From Elliot Hart. Subject, formal attire optional. They didn't invite you. Let's make sure they never forget you. The valet practically stumbled when Elliot handed him the keys to the black Maserati. Rachel stepped out in a satin emerald dress that clung in all the right places, her dark hair swept over one shoulder. Elegant, but not trying too hard. Confident, but still her. She hadn't worn heels this high in years, but something about Elliot's calm presence beside her made every step feel like it belonged. As they approached the venue, a rustic luxe barn on the outskirts of town converted into a high-end wedding location, Rachel felt the stares before the doors even opened. The barn glowed with string lights. Music spilled out into the cool evening air. People were already mingling with cocktails in hand, and the bridal party was taking photos outside in coordinated champagne tones. Then someone turned. A bridesmaid. Amanda. Her glass almost dropped. Rachel? Oh my God. Rachel? Rachel smiled politely. Hi, Amanda. It's been a while. Amanda's eyes bounced between her and Elliot. And, who's this? Elliot Hart, he said casually, offering a handshake. A friend. Rachel was kind enough to let me crash the party. Amanda's jaw tensed. You're not on the guest list. Guess I'll blend in, then, he grinned. Rachel couldn't help the small thrill in her chest. They entered the barn like a headline walking. Conversations paused. Necks craned. Chloe's parents noticed first, then the bridesmaids. One of the groomsmen let out a low whistle, whispering something that made two others laugh nervously. The air vibrated with recognition and confusion. Rachel caught glimpses of whispers. Is that her? Wait. I thought they weren't friends anymore. Who is that guy? He looks like he owns the place. He does. Not this place. But, other places. Chloe appeared from the side hallway in full bridal glow, white silk, delicate veil, practiced perfection. The moment her eyes landed on Rachel, the color drained from her face. Rachel? Hi, Rachel said, voice calm. Measured. Beautiful ceremony. Sorry we missed it. Chloe took a slow breath. You weren't invited. Yeah. Weird how that happened. There was a pause. Elliot gently placed a hand on Rachel's back, an anchor without control. Well, Chloe said tightly, I suppose it's fine. As long as you don't cause a scene. Of course not, Rachel said. We're just here to support love. Chloe's lips twitched in something that might have been a smile or a warning. Inside, Rachel felt the tension but refused to carry it. She held Elliot's arm as they walked past the long harvest tables, perfectly arranged flower arrangements, and live quartet. Guests turned. Some nodded, others whispered. Then, it began. A woman in a navy dress leaned in across the table. Are you, the Rachel? Rachel turned. Depends. Which Rachel? Chloe used to talk about you all the time. College, right? You were her best friend. What happened? Rachel smiled softly. We grew in different directions. Well, she definitely didn't mention that you'd show up looking like that. Or with him. Elliot smiled, unbothered. I just follow good stories. At one point, the groom, Jake, approached with two of his groomsmen. He didn't say anything to Rachel. Just nodded once, then turned to Elliot. You look familiar. Elliot Hart, he said, offering a handshake. Jake's face shifted. The Elliot Hart. Like. Hart Ventures. Elliot nodded. In the flesh. Wow. Didn't realize, you and Rachel. Met last week, Elliot said. Some people you meet once and they leave an impression. Rachel could practically hear the gears turning in Jake's head. He looked between them, suddenly unsure how to proceed. Well, Jake mumbled, enjoy yourselves. We are, Rachel said. Later in the evening, during the slow dance, Elliot leaned in. You okay? More than okay, Rachel whispered. I thought it would hurt more. But honestly, I feel kind of free. You should. You didn't crash their party, he said. You reminded them who they chose to forget. I think Chloe's about to explode. That's on her, Elliot replied. She had the opportunity to share her joy. She chose exclusion. Tonight just balanced the scales. Rachel looked around at the tables, the chandeliers, the fake smiles and the strained compliments. She didn't want any of it back. But she was glad she came. As they left, Elliot helping her into the car, Rachel caught one last look at Chloe through the window. Their eyes met. Chloe didn't smile. She didn't wave. But something shifted behind her eyes. And Rachel finally understood. It wasn't about the invite. It was about the power she had taken back just by showing up. The after-party buzzed with energy, but Rachel was done performing. She slipped away from the crowd, heels clicking against the polished barn floor, and stepped out onto the quiet side patio lit by amber sconces. The scent of wildflowers lingered in the cool night air. Seconds later, she heard the door creak behind her. You really had to come, didn't you? Rachel didn't turn immediately. She knew that voice. Controlled. Slightly breathless, like it was always holding something back. Chloe. I didn't come to make a scene, Rachel said calmly. I just came to remember who I am. You didn't belong here. Rachel turned now. Slowly. Chloe stood in full bridal perfection, clutching her veil in one hand like it was a shield. Funny, Rachel replied. You used to say I'd be standing next to you at your wedding. Now you act like I'm the scandal. You disappeared after graduation. No, Rachel said sharply. I struggled. There's a difference. That landed. Chloe shifted, folding her arms. You know how it looked, right? You stopped coming to brunch. You didn't return texts. I didn't know how to help you. Rachel exhaled, steady. I didn't need help. I needed patience. I was working 3 jobs, Chloe. I couldn't afford mimosas or matching outfits. Silence. So you cut me out. I didn't know how to fit you into my new life, Chloe admitted. Then don't be surprised I found my own way in, Rachel said, voice firm but quiet. Behind them, through the window, Elliot chatted with the venue owner. Someone snapped a photo of him. The buzz hadn't died down, it was growing. People were starting to Google. Starting to realize. You're with him now? Chloe asked, voice tight. No, Rachel said. He showed up. That's all. But, he's Elliot Hart. Exactly. Rachel stepped forward, lowering her voice. And even with all his money, status, power, do you know what he did tonight? He sat next to me. He listened. He never once asked me to be anyone but myself. A pause. You. You made me feel small in a room I helped you dream about. Chloe blinked. Her lip trembled, just for a second. I didn't mean to. I know, Rachel said, stepping back. But that doesn't make it okay. She turned to leave, but Chloe called out. Why now? Why tonight? Rachel smiled. Because you didn't invite me. So you came to prove a point. No, Rachel said. I came to remember I still matter. That being excluded doesn't make me invisible. It just reminds me who sees me. Back inside, Elliot stood as Rachel re-entered. Everything all right? He asked. Yeah, she said, slipping her arm into his. More than all right. They walked out of the barn, out into the night, two quiet storms wrapped in class and clarity. At the valet stand, someone snapped a photo of them again. The next morning, Rachel would wake to see herself on a dozen social posts. Who is this woman with Elliot Hart? The mystery guest who stole the night. She wasn't invited, but everyone's talking about her. But Rachel didn't care. Because for the first time in a long time, she wasn't reacting to someone else's story. She was writing her own. They didn't invite her to belong. So she showed up to remind them she already did.
Thank you for listening to this story. If it moved you a bit, leave something, write a comment, like the video. It helps us grow the channel and create more stories. See you in the next story from Stories for Each Day.